You got to ask the right question, right? Dennis, how is your coup d'etat going this evening?
Oh, this is one of the most bizarre days of my entire life, and yours too, I'm sure, although a bit distant since you're in España. But here in the U.S., we actually saw the Capitol being stormed and broken through, and the Vice President of the United States rushed off to a secret chamber along with the Speaker of the House, and there are photographs of armed Secret Service and protective men holding their weapons up at the door of the House of Representatives, where just moments before, Vice President Trump was doing what? He was going to confirm
Vice President Pence
the Electoral College count state by state, and fucking Ted Cruz had objected already. I was watching it online, and Amy Klobuchar was on fire and responded. It was all factual. They got to Arizona, so they're in the A states.
Yes.
And they drove them away, and it shut down, and now there's a mandatory curfew. At 6 p.m., there was gas thrown. There were weapons. There's reports of shootings. There are violence. There are people that have been hospitalized. It is the first only violent armed coup that Trump instigated in person at his protest event, where he said, "Let's march on the Capitol and I'll go with you." Thus, the crowd left thinking that he was ahead of them, stormed the building, went through the gates. People pushed and shoved, broke glass, broke in, carrying weapons. House members told to crawl under their desk. Completely loud, no one allowed to have any noise in their room. Shut down your computers. We're under siege. And what happened, of course, was exactly what Trump wanted to happen, which was, guess what's not going to happen today? He's not going to get the election verified for Biden.
Yeah, which you predicted last episode, I believe. You specifically said that Pence would not show up, which
yes,
he did
not happen.
Right.
Did not happen. He did show up. And what was amazing about the event, and this is as much responsible for the spark of the riots, is that what Trump has been trolling for the past two or 3 days, past week, is whether Pence will stand up and do his job. And what happened immediately upon the opening of the Senate was that his staff had already signaled that he had told Trump that he didn't have the power to do it. And then he issued a statement.
He didn't have the power to not do his job. And he parted with Trump.
He parted with Trump, and he said, "I'm going to do my job."
Right.
And what Trump had said at the rally was, it was that he was calling him a coward. And they marched the Capitol as much trying to get Pence. And so Pence has rushed off. And so while I may have been wrong about the reason that he didn't do it, I'm not wrong about this fact. One is he didn't do it. And number two, I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow it's Grassley who runs it after safety is secured, because it's just perhaps too high of a security risk for Vice President Trump. There was an alarm of a pipe bomb today. There was armed confrontation. People stormed this one announcer says, "We're seeing people storm the Capitol building." And the announcer says, "And how they got in, we're not certain, but they're now in the hallways and the roaming. And I don't believe that they went through the scanners to get in."
You think?
And my wife and I looked at each other and said, "Pretty sure bet. I'm just spitballing here, but I would think that when they stormed, they didn't go through the detectors." Now, they didn't show anybody in any of the clips with weapons inside, which was really interesting because they showed a lot of people inside. So I'm not altogether sure what that's about. But here's the question. If you and I thought that this was a possibility, that there'd be armed insurrection,
yes,
because we've talked about it for weeks and weeks.
Yep.
If you and I knew that, why didn't the D.C. police know that? Why didn't they, behind the barriers, have already the National Guard so that was a barrier of personnel?
Yeah, it's like,
because they were so undermanned and understand. If you and I knew that, why didn't they know that?
How could this have been predicted? It's like, who knows? And there was a great tweet earlier by someone that showed a photo of the Capitol security team when they had a Black Lives Matter protest back in the summer, and it was just dudes armed to the teeth in shoulder to shoulder around the Capitol building. No one was getting in. And this time, they didn't think to have any protection.
It's an interesting. If do you know for a fact that the ratio of officers to control the crowd was in fact less, or is it a conjecture or a educated guess on your part?
It is a social media meme that conforms with my beliefs. Ergo, I have repeated it. I have no further evidence on this matter, Your Honor. As I mentioned,
Speaking of which,
that's how you should address me going forward on these podcasts.
Not to break from the breaking news of the insurrection, but did you see the last 2 episodes of Your Honor?
I have. I'm up to
and what's your, let's just jump to the 5th one. Which was your critique?
The 5th one. I don't have
the last one
categorized in that order, and that was like days ago.
There's only 5 of them that came in order. Episode 1, for example, went first, then followed by
3.
Come on. Well, see, this is why they invented numbers, is for people like you who can't get shit straight.
Okay, well, remind me what happened most recently.
So at the end of episode 4, the shotgun house blows up.
Yes.
And the surviving member of the family,
yes,
which you're uncertain of, closes, is a rather plump African-American kid who looks to be about 14.
Right.
That's how that ends. Then it opens up at a funeral.
Yes.
So that's the 5th. So I'm asking you only as a courtesy, because I've got some strong opinions about it, as you might guess. And I'm not happy. I will tell you this, I'm not happy. I don't, and let me, so you remember it all? You remember the episode now?
I remember.
Started with the funeral, you said?
The kid started with the funeral, and he's got that T-shirt on the whole time.
And then he met Big Mo, the gang leader, who the black dude who convinced Coffee to do the deed. That's Little Mo.
And killed him. And,
so Little Mo reports to his fucking mother, Aunt, or whatever the fuck she is. And there's that shit going on. So then she leaves some money, a big bankroll, and he finds it, and he delivers it. And was I tested? And then the fucking lawyer, the squeeze of the fucking judge, the lawyer, shows up in her fucking Mercedes and pulls up to the curb, and he offers her drugs, and she says, I'm your brother's lawyer, and he says, my brother dead, and she says, I'm still his lawyer, and then they end up in a restaurant eating together. It goes on and on.
Yeah, so this whole thing of, and I wanted to ask you about this when I was watching it, of this whole pro bono lawyer taking on this case just because she feels indignant about it. Or
no, that's not why she's
okay.
That's part of it. She's doing it because she wants to fucking suck the dick of Your Honor. That's what this is all about. Yeah. She's doing a fucking favor for her fucking future squeeze. They're already making out on the fucking balcony, whatever. And that's a bit unrealistic too. But here, let me just say this about the funeral. I got to get this off my chest about the funeral. So this house blows up at the end of episode 4.
Yeah.
And one of the scenes earlier in an episode was when the police raided Coffee's house, which of course was the one that ended up blowing up. They showed his mother and 3 young children, 4 children, the oldest of which was about 14 years old, the boy in question that I mentioned a moment ago, and 3 younger children. So when that house blows up at the end of episode 4, you don't know if anybody was in it.
Nope.
You only know that the 14-year-old boy, whose name we'll bring up if we need to, I can't recall, but he saw it. That's how the episode ends.
Right.
And so the next episode 5 starts with a New Orleans funeral. And this is a New Orleans funeral that is over in the 5th Ward, where this house is, in this area that was devastated by the hurricane. And they're carrying 2 caskets. Question number 1.
I didn't count the caskets.
How many people died?
2 caskets.
Are they putting more than one person in a casket? How many people died? Well, you find out within a little bit of time, because here comes the kid walking up in the lead or in the middle of this New Orleans
very
parade,
awkwardly. That must suck.
Which actually was a slice of New Orleans, which was odd, because unlike what I would have done if it had any input on the musical introduction of this chapter, I wouldn't have started as they did, with the jazzy marching, dancing bit that happens during these funerals. These funerals start out as somber as the fucking day is long. And it's fucking at the church, and it's fucking sad. And it's only after they start to get the march going that this thing happens, and then that's when they end up getting into. But anyway, I was in a Catholic church down in Treme in New Orleans on what the fuck day was it? It was Mardi Gras, and they had a high mass, a high Mardi Gras jazz mass, and we walked out of the church, forming the first and second lines, and started marching and danced all the way down fucking town to start a festival that was going to start. So here's my major point, is that Why the fuck are there only 2 caskets? And the kid is walking up the thing. He's got a shirt on that I think has the word heaven on it. And there's his mother and his 3 siblings. You say, what the fuck? Didn't 4 people die? Why are you carrying 2 fucking coffins?
Wow.
And it's, wait a second. Why are you planning this shit? Is it so fucking hard to show 4 coffins? Why such a glaring inconsistency?
That's twice the coffin budget. Who has that much coffin budget? This podcast, we can narrowly afford 1. But to be honest, I was not counting coffins, and I did not consider that. And I suspect that almost everyone that watched it also is in my camp of not like counting where the dead bodies are. Some of us are.
Well, so here, let me give you another one, and I gotta confess, looking at some social interaction on this, is that the coffee. This dude, this 14-year-old boy, goes in. There's the funeral thing, and he's in this house, and there's food, and they're milling, and he goes in the kitchen, and he sees Big Mo, and Big Mo confronts Little Mo, who's leaning against the refrigerator, dressed in a fucking pair of jeans, whatever, and a fucking T-shirt, and a hat on his head, and he's slouching, and she's on his shit and says, explain what happened to him, and then they go out on the porch.
Right.
A little while later, Big Mo and Little Mo are going to go see the big gangster, and there's Little Mo there. Here's the point. Over the course of one day, they show Little Mo in 3 different scenes all over town with 3 different fucking outfits on. And it was hard for me to wonder whether or not it was fucking Mo. How did he get from here to there? And why did the judge, for example, go into his house when he knew that the fucking dude who was blackmailing, whoever that is he's worried about where his son is, and suddenly he becomes more worried about his dog than he is about his son. So he ends up spending some time in the veterinarian hospital and then says in a daze, I have to go. And I said out loud, I said, why? Did you remember that your son may be in mortal danger? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? And here's another one. So the fucking kid, Adam, who's got a fucking suicide wish, right?
Yep.
And that's cool. I get it. And remember the wild dancing in the dark room, which still stands out as this.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yes. Yep.
And I hear that in the future plot, it's going to be Bryan Cranston dancing, which you and I would appreciate, which he could pull off. Oh, God. And so here's Adam. And what's he doing while he's studying for an interview? Where is he? He's at a cafe. He's having coffee.
Oh, fuck.
Well, this part... How many places are there like that in New Orleans? Every neighborhood, 5 or 6. Pre-COVID, 5, 6 neighborhoods, 40, 50.
Yeah, when I saw this, I thought Dennis is going to hate this. Continue.
Who? Why did she recognize him? Because he was at the vigilance, the evening of candle lighting. It is at the kid he killed. Yeah, and then the scene is that he runs into her, which is incredible. And they look at each other, and somehow, and I miss this. So is he a dreamy looking kid? Is he a handsome boy that a Greek girl like her, who frankly is not?
I don't know. He seems to be banging his art teacher.
So what happened to her? So they had a falling out because he told her the truth, and they're hot and heavy. And this happens in episode 4 that you recall. And suddenly in episode 5 is like, fuck her. I'm on the fucking make now. And who am I on the make with? I'm on the make with the fucking sister of the kid I killed. Why? Oh, okay. You and I said, well, that's all right. Because you have a fucking death wish. You're a sick motherfucker. And now we're beginning to understand the wild dance in the dark room. Because you are, in fact, clinical. You got a fucking death wish. You want to be with your fucking dead mother. That's your deal. You want to be dead. And if they're going to electrocute you, so fucking be it.
Yeah.
Oh, and pity, of course, your poor dad. And so he walks in the kitchen, and there's Dad crumpled under the fucking oven, under the island with his dog. And the son comes in, and Dad says, whenever you see me call you, you have to call me. Okay, so you were a little bit more concerned when he walked into your house and, Judge, grabbed the bat that you happen to keep in your fucking umbrella stand by the door, like probably everybody in
Don't we all
does. But let me ask you this. Do you really think that at your age, with your acumen and skill set, that if there is, in fact, someone in your house who's trying to blackmail you, who, now I'm just spitballing here, but who might just have a weapon, might just have a gun.
The mafia?
I know it's crazy, call me crazy, whatever. But what you're going to do is you're going to walk upstairs with a bat Oh, and if that's not bad enough, what are you going to do when you say, oh, no, your dog, oh, God, my dog? You're going to put down that bat, and you're going to forget the fact that the reason you came in the house because you thought a fucking intruder was there, and what they probably did, you asshole, was poison your fucking dog, and they're still in the house, and they're going to knock you in the back of the fucking head right now when you go over your dog. Because, well, no, none of that happened. He just left. Oh, I got to go now. And gets in his car and drives off to the vet. And it's like, excuse me, I want to raise my hand and say, script writer, what happened to the idea that, why was the store open and jimmied and who got in and what happened to that plot line? Oh, that didn't go anywhere. I'm glad you got my attention. It's fucking shitty writing. It's shitty fucking writing.
I have to agree with you.
What a waste of fucking Bryan Cranston.
Yes, he is amazing and could be used to actual good writing. But I don't know. I wasn't like on hypercritical mode when I was watching it, and it was an entertaining.
So let me ask you a question.
Half hour, whatever.
This is related to some info I sent you. What do you think Fred Astaire would say in 1958 if he was shown a future video shot of stomping breakdancing?
I don't know what stomping breakdancing is, but I mean breakdancing where people are like spinning around and doing crazy shit.
And the reason that where the stomping comes is from the people watching them.
I think he would be like, "Whoa, cool! That's
yes."
He would be like, "Wow, that's a thing that we hadn't thought of yet."
That's what I thought too. I thought he would be mesmerized and depending on his age.
Because you sent me a video of actors from the 30s and 40s dancing. It was a remix where they were dancing to the tune of Uptown Funk. And
yeah, it was fabulous.
It was delightful. It was absolutely delightful.
Was it one of those, this is the way I felt about it. I didn't want it to end. It was gloriously long.
It felt really long. Yeah.
Did it feel too long to you?
No.
Because I relished.
Yeah,
I never wished it would end. I never thought this is getting old.
I agree. Yes, it was as long as the song Uptown Funk is. And the bit at the end where they have a faux ending where it seems like the song is ending and then they come back, I was definitely applauding that for the encore. Yes, it was super clever. This will be in the show notes at happyhour.fm/091. No. 91?
Hey, I got some flashing news for you. So
hold on.
I did a little research on our followership.
092.
This is what I've discovered.
Wait, this will be in our show notes at happyhour.fm/092. We are in 92. Dennis, what have you found in our... We're up to 92, man.
This is what I've found. Don't forget your commitment by episode 100 to see Woodstock.
I will strike a moon.
Strike a moon. So what was the question?
There was no question. You said that you implied that you had looked up our numbers or something.
Oh yes. So there is a charting out there that apparently is recording the placement of 1,091 podcasts.
Okay.
I've got two pieces of news. It's good news and it's bad news and worse news.
We're not last, I hope.
1091. So there's a couple things. One is that number one, we are 1038. Now
38 out of 91.
This is bad news. It's pretty low. And here's why it's worse news is that how can we imagine that there are so many podcasts that are worse than this one?
Hold on. 91 minus is 53. There are 53.
I wouldn't have thought it was possible that there'd be 53 fewer listened to or whatever the rating stands for.
They must be spoiling other shows, not just Your Honor, where we talk about every little bit that happens and why it sucks and why you shouldn't watch it.
And they're both applauding. They're on the edge of their seats. Are you kidding? Oh, I wonder what these guys have to say about this. Hold on. Let's tune in. Yeah, so anyway, how about, back to the insurrection.
Hey, well, so I've got a couple things about that.
Homework to do.
In 1981, on February 23rd, in Spain, there was a group of armed folks that ran into the Houses of Parliament and fired some shots at the ceiling.
I remember it.
And
I remember.
Got really, belligerent about it was an attempt at a coup d'etat that's failed because I think it is generally attributed to the relatively new king that Juan Carlos that refused to endorse the coup and generally stopped it. He, of course, now as of last year, is in exile, where if he returns to Spain, he will be locked up and put in jail because he was doing a bunch of embezzling shit as king. But, what monarch isn't? So he is now in exile in the United Arab Emirates, where he cannot return to Spain, which is, I think...
rich as can be.
Of course he's rich as can be. He was a king and is now...
He was a king.
Yeah.
You're king, you expect to be rich. You're not going to be a pauper king.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have enough money and you're king, you say, hey, am I king or am I not king? They say, yeah, you're king. Well, so give me some money.
Right.
How do you want us to? That's not up to me. You just do it. I need some money. Of course, kings take it from the peasants. But there you go.
And speaking of kings, today in Spain is a special holiday called King's Day.
Oh.
King's Day, also known to the Catholics as the Epiphany.
The Epiphany. Hey,
I just had an idea.
Just made me think of something.
Yes. What if we brought presents to a baby that weren't of any use to the new parents? Like, they weren't diapers or a toy or something, but if they were like gold and spices and shit, what if we brought totally useless, but I guess value? Yeah.
Like Tupperware?
Yeah. So
wipes, diaper bag.
Exactly.
A rough hewn canvas like
or a blanket or something.
Mary.
Or a...
I know what. How about a lint remover, because they'd all be full of animal hair.
Right. Exactly.
Just so they could
and
wipe it over their cloaks and shit and get rid of all the hair.
And all the spider monkey fur.
I can just see Joseph using this thing off his cloak and saying, fucking mule hair. It's
As Joseph
annoying.
once said, fucking mule hair. That's okay. I forget the chapter and verse of the Bible.
Glowing from the glowing baby, and there's no reason why she should, but she's an American, and she looks at Joseph and she says, "I know, right? I know," and there she is in a blue veil, and the dark mule hair is showing up everywhere. Baby Jesus is sneezing. What's the matter with fucking mule hair? Oh, sheep hair, and there's probably a pig in there. Hey, how about 30 coins? Speaking of the manger, and there's a cow in there. Do you know the opening episode of 30 coins?
I only got halfway through, but halfway through is enough to understand what the fuck you're talking about.
And I was mindful of the fact that you don't like, in a lot of ways, you've said in many other shows, the kind of superstitious, bugaboo stuff, the monster stuff. And I thought this just might be enough to interest you.
I felt that I was being pushed towards that border, but not quite all the way pushed off, so I was turned off by the whole thing. I need to watch more of the first episode, but I definitely watched the first half. That is strange as fuck, and they do an amazing job of, you don't know, there's no dialogue in the first 5-10 minutes. It's not obvious that it is a Spanish series from the first 10 minutes, I think.
You mean in the opening credits, or do you mean beyond that? Because the opening scene
is quite long with no speech.
Yes, which absolutely...
Which adds to the tension, in my opinion.
Begins the tension, I might say.
Okay.
But the moment of the first of many, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Is when Jesus suffering on the cross is pierced. And in the Bible, it expresses that both water and blood came out, meaning that he was near death. Then the what the fuck was, he looks down at fucking Judas and fucking laughs at him. And it fucking freaks Judas out like it should. And he runs and he goes and he fucking, as we know, fucking hangs himself. And then there's the 30 coins. And so the establishment of this incredible tension, of intentionality, and of a reality which is beyond us is established, and before you even see the name of the fucking series.
Okay.
I love it too because it's...
So 30 coins, I was somewhat aware that there was something involving Judas and coins, but I did not know that it was a clear, like in the Bible,
30 coins of silver.
There are 30 pieces of
30
silver.
coins.
There's a Wikipedia entry called 30 pieces of silver was the price for which Judas betrayed Jesus, according to the account in the Gospel, Matthew 26:15 in the New Testament. Wow. So that makes the name of doesn't clear up anything about what I saw.
From the opening of 5, which is, let's see. No, not 5, of 2. episode 2. I'm in the wrong
I haven't.
series.
No, I haven't seen. I haven't seen
okay.
the whole first
That's right.
episode.
You haven't got there yet. You
so,
haven't got there.
But I assume that some percentage of people, when they see the title of the series as 30 coins, are, oh yeah, that's about Judas. I assume there's a sufficient level of Catholic. If you didn't, then
didn't go there.
And you know more about Catholicism than
altar boy.
You know more about Catholicism than most Spaniards. So
as soon as I saw the first opening 2 seconds, I knew what the 30 coins was about.
Right.
As soon as I saw that it was the suffering and crucifixion of Christ, I knew where it was headed. Anyway, that's going to be that's a Sunday night at 9 here, which Your Honor is afterwards. It's not worth it for me to stay up on a late night to watch Your Honor because I fall asleep because it's not particularly well done. They're establishing these loose ends. Remember the dinner scene where the dog finds the bloody rag? And they finally, after episode, 3 different times in different episodes, they had went back to that thing of the dog and the rag. They showed it at least twice other times. You knew that it was coming. It finally came. The cop, who strangely enough is invited to dinner by fucking Adam.
Right.
The cop investigating the fucking lost car. The rag comes out and she says, "Is that blood on there?"
Yes.
And when there's no answer, and he just keeps it in his hand and says abruptly, "Excuse me." And then he leaves with the bloody rag in his hand. Oh, are we going to come back to that? I don't think so. They probably fired that fucking writer. They're probably on their 3rd fucking writer.
Or 10th.
It pisses me off.
Yeah.
That I get so infrequent opportunities to see great actors in these series, and when it ends up to be a disappointment, I'm pissed. I'm going to go back to True Detective and watch the second one, which for whatever reason put me to sleep the first time.
I'm upset that Hollywood cannot produce something good enough to entertain my friend Dennis. It's irresponsible and ludicrous and unacceptable.
Yes.
They need to get their shit together and entertain Dennis. Because
I watched School of Rock again the other day.
Yeah, you mentioned.
Did I mention that already?
I think so. Yes.
Oh dear.
Hold on. From the Wikipedia page from 30 Pieces of Silver, I have breaking news. 30 Pieces of Silver would be worth. What do you think they would be worth in today's U.S. dollars? These 30
$150,000.
Between $185 and $216. $216. Judas betrayed
Was I off?
Jesus
Was I off a little bit?
For less than the...
Right.
What can you buy? That's less than an iPad. It's pretty cheap.
Fucking Judas.
And this is because the Tyrian shekel weighed 4 Athenian drachmas, which is about 14 grams, which more earlier than the 11 gram Israeli shekels. Blah, 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 blah. Left Wikipedia.
Blue.
Yes,
It's,
go blue.
Hey, basketball season. I know you get thrilled whenever I bring up sports, college sports.
Sports ball.
Oh boy, anyway.
Welcome to Sports Ball Corner with Dennis.
All I can tell you is that my Michigan State, the Spartans, have now beat their second decent team in 2 games. As Tom Izzo said, we're 1-0 in 2021. Now we have this prospect in the political circle here in the U.S. of this armed insurrection encouraged by Trump. And suddenly, maybe not so suddenly, it seems January 20th is a really long ways away. It seems like in 14 days, every city in the United States could be the site of fucking multiple fucking riots.
A friend of mine said this. Like, I thought today is a shame and an embarrassment what is happening in the Capitol. But a friend of mine said, I think this is going to spread to more cities. And I had not heard that take yet, but you are repeating it. So what's...
The challenge that the military and the establishment in the Department of Justice, the true blue lawyers and law enforcement officers in this country that are concerned about this, they know that if they give the insurgents a rallying cry, such as some type of reaction against their leader, that nothing inspires a movement more than a martyr. And all they need is some reason of any kind to spark additional protest. So they're in a very, very, very tough spot. Given the fact that there's 150 legislators who are on record to oppose the Electoral College votes that's just only started. That means that the application of the 25th Amendment is impossible to imagine because it requires a preponderance of both chambers. And that opportunity is immediately quashed. That, in fact, is the only way, besides impeachment, which take too long, to remove Donald Trump between January 20th. The 25th Amendment could get enacted literally in 2 days if a majority of his cabinet members, including but not limited to the vice president, all agreed that the 25th Amendment needed to be invoked so they could take that to Congress.
Right.
That they had the lawyers, and let's assume that they could.
You just went fuzzy.
We could be in for, we say every day, we can't believe it. And we're worse and worse. It's going to get worse. It's going to spread. These guys got fucking guns, and they want to fucking use them. They don't fucking train in these fucking guns.
I feel like
keep them holstered.
I feel like with a fortnight to go, in this luscious beard that I have, awaiting the razor, January 20th, I feel like the end of the light at the end of the tunnel is just there. Like we can see it. We're almost there. Could we really stumble and fall as a republic in this amount of time? Yes, I suppose so. But it's okay. Not stumble, but be tried to a degree that it's never been tried before. Yeah, for sure. Like I agree. Look, these people outside of the Capitol today, for example, the security at the Capitol building made the decision that, look, there are a dozen of us and there's 1,000 people out there that are banging on the doors. Even though we are heavily armed, better not to just fire into the crowd to get them to go away. Better to just let them come in and fuck around. And
surely they won't go in the buildings. We're thinking.
I mean,
they fought like hell to get those protesters, short of shooting with their weapons. That physical interaction to go through those barriers, these cops fought their fucking ass off, and as you say, they were just simply outnumbered. They were ill prepared. We're lucky they didn't resort to shooting because they could have.
Right, exactly.
Their lives were in danger.
Yes, and the more cynical, further lefty people among us are like to say that if that was a crowd full of black people, then the guns would have come off faster. But I don't like that take myself.
You don't believe it?
I don't like it.
I believe it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I believe it in a heartbeat.
Yes, but that sucks. But the fact that they... Okay, so if there was really a risk to the
House members, the chambers,
or to the nation, we could totally scramble a drone to drop a bomb on a group of people whenever we needed to, right? Like the U.S. is not going to, the U.S. government is not going to be overtaken by 1,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 people.
Let me just check in. This. So the insurgents,
yes,
are in the Capitol, and they're in the hallways where the senators are hiding, which was another interesting thing. They reported that the members of the House and the Senate were told to hide under your chairs. And I looked at my wife and I said, wait a minute, don't they mean hide under your desks? People don't actually, they're too big to fit under a chair. Nobody's really telling them to hide under a chair. There's no instance that I can imagine, having been in congressional offices and knowing the size.
Yeah.
I don't have anything
I don't know if
time except what you want.
I don't know if they have bigger chairs. No, but I saw
No, they don't.
I saw a hot take tweet of, you mean Congress doesn't have active shooter drills? That's just for middle schools and high schools? Fuck, that's dark. But yeah. So, right. Yeah. So, but what do
we do now? Let's go ahead and open our computer. Oh, hide under your chair. Wait a minute. I don't fit. I'm a big fat senator. I'm on my all fours trying to fit under my chair. And not only is it a low chair, it's one of the chair I'm sitting in, I'm sure you're sitting in, where there really isn't much room underneath because it's on wheels.
Right.
So that's how a lot of their chairs are. How do you fit under there? Oh, I know. I'll pull the chair on my back, and they'll think that I'm the chair, that I'm part of the chair. And then they won't shoot me when they come in. That's a good plan.
I'm the chairman of the board. Yeah.
Whoa, man.
because I'm like a chairman, and
Like a chairman.
this conversation is boring me. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Hey, so as I was saying before,
Hey.
today's King's Day, which in Spain is like Christmas.
How you say it in Spanish?
El Día de los Reyes Magos, the Magi Kings, because that's when the wise men came to give Jesus his stuff. But in Spain, it is
Oh, is it true?
the Bible. It's all
Spain
true.
is
What?
Is it true that when the Magi
Yes,
came to the
from the east.
manger,
Yeah,
that one of them said something, and Jesus looked at him, freshborn baby, could already talk, slapped him across the face and said, "Are you trying to be fucking wise?" And Mary said, yeah, right?
what are you, a wise guy?
Yeah. And Joseph is there still trying to get the lint off his cloak and muttering about the fucking mule hair. He's not involved. He's a distant. It's already clear he's going to be a distant father. His kid's going to fucking disappear when he's 12 years old, so he's about 23 years old. He's just, I don't know where he went.
Yeah,
Fucking mule hair, still trying to get it off his cloak. I don't know where he went.
that's in the Bible, in the book of Dennis 7:21.
Hey, I got time on my hands. I'm not ready.
Hold on, I
got time on my hands.
let me finish my cultural education of the listener, where today, the King's Day, is the traditional mythical, no spoilers, gift bringer day in Spain, where
Well put. Gift bringer day. Is that in the literature? Is that what it says in the pamphlet?
it is.
Advertising.
So in Spain,
Magi Kings.
so in Spain, the children all ask, like, they all ask the kings to bring them presents on Christmas, and today is that
and
Christmas.
they don't want, and they say, and I don't want that. I don't want any fucking spices. The three kings say, hey, we got this new spice. You put it on chicken. No, man, no spices. Yeah, but we're all eating chicken. We're in a manger.
Yeah.
What else are we gonna eat? Grab the chicken, wring his neck, boil him in water, pluck his feathers, stick him over the fucking pit.
Yeah, I mean,
Jesus sitting there with his napkin, fork and spoon in his hand, saying, "Where's that chicken?" Joseph saying, "Fucking mule hair all over my cloak." Mary's, "Yeah, chicken, I'm hungry. I had a baby here."
My kids got a bunch of cayenne pepper for King's Day, and they were not pleased. No, but
Did you say, "Hey, let's try this in our corn," and give them a corn cob and full of cayenne pepper, and then laugh when they ate it? Your kids.
my kids love corn on the cob, but they've only ever had it in America, because in Spain it doesn't really exist, because outside of America, corn is considered food for... You can buy cans of the individual corn kernels already cut, but corn on the cob is not a thing you can...
Now, in Mexico, the corn on the cob is served cooked over an open pit and then slathered with a mixture of mayonnaise and Parmesan cheese and black ground pepper. And served in a cup.
Served in a cup, so it's taken off of the cob. It's corn off the cob. No, it's corn on the cob, and it's served in a cup.
Of corn with the handle of the cob, and in fact, the shucks of the cob is still in place. It's sticking out of the cup.
Shuck, yeah.
And that's the way they serve it, fresh off the fire.
Nice.
That cup.
I'm down for that.
Is the mixture of mayonnaise and Parmesan cheese. Oh my God.
That sounds...
Oh my
I'm
God.
getting hungry.
And the cob is cooked so that some of the kernels are actually blackened. And they're so hot when you first eat them that it burns your fucking teeth. And nothing can compare to the feeling of burnt teeth.
I'll praise the black kernels.
You've got to agree with me on this.
The black kernels of Mexico.
I think the next moment that your teeth feel burnt. Because I do.
I think the title of this episode is "The Black Kernels of Mexico." So anyway,
how do you spell kernels? C-O-L-E-L-N-A-L.
Or K. An interesting question. Only the listener that is looking at the show notes.
Only to you, and only partly to me. Certainly not to anyone who's listening. Even our only rabid fan. I'm sure your father's listening. Well, it's just me here. Your father is the difference between 1091.
No, he stopped listening a long time ago, I think.
Maybe your sainted mother. Just wave her hand. Say, this is
she doesn't listen to this. She might hear me say a bad word. So anyway, last night, the tradition in Spain is to is to clean your shoes and leave them out under the Christmas tree, such that the wise men on their 3 camels, which presumably fly or something, can come into your house and leave presents for you.
Down the chimney.
We don't have chimneys, so
they'll come in the door then.
Right, exactly.
Walk in and big bag of stuff.
And what blows my mind is that my 7-year-old, who is so analytical about everything, and he shows me stuff. He says, "I saw this thing on YouTube, but it's probably not true. Let me tell you about this thing that I saw." He is totally 100% on board with this idea that these random Arab royals are entering our house somehow and leaving presents. Like he's still, bless his heart, is not doing any critical thinking on this matter. But anyway,
he wants to believe it. He likes it. There's a good payoff.
But it's not. I think I would know if he was believing it because he wanted to believe it. I think there's a difference there. I don't know. Anyway, we got some good presents last. So the complicated part for this as a parent is I've got 2 Christmases to deal with because we also do.
Yeah, right.
We also do the 25th because although typically not in Spain, that where my wife is from in the Basque Country, they have a mythical gift bringer that comes on the night of the 24th to the 25th and brings gifts. So we have to do double gift giving. And also in Spain, we have this culture of all the gifts come from the mythical people. So
Santa and then the Magi.
Right. So ergo, no thank you cards are required because no one gave you anything because it just appears. And I remember my daughter saying several years ago, back when she still believed, she said, "Why would we buy a thing when we can just ask the kings to bring it?" It's like, isn't that like cheaper?
Right. A budding economist.
Exactly. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So anyway, but we got my son got a scooter, one of these things that you...
Electric one?
No, manual, where you stand on it and you push it. It's a skateboard with a handle.
Flintstone version.
But he had one before, but with smaller wheels, and he wanted he wanted one with bigger wheels because you feel the bumps less, and also his best friend has one with bigger wheels. So, of course, that's all you need.
How old is he, 7?
7. And we also got we used to have my old computer that sort of worked as the family PC, but stopped working a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And we got a new computer for the family, which allows like some computer games and things to be played, which is a big hit so far.
Cool.
But yeah,
there's nothing like the look on kids' faces who are true believers when they see what's been delivered unto them.
Yeah, and my son said today, he said, "I asked for a scooter and an iPad and this and that and the other thing, but I'm so happy with the scooter. I see now why the kings chose to only give me one present."
Right.
It's so beautiful. And he totally is there and sees that, I don't know, that he's just so pleased with the one. And again,
right.
Like my
he's so happy with the way that things have turned out.
And again, my kids live in the utmost privilege such that they really struggle to come up with a thing that they would like to be given. Because they have fucking everything. And really, every single toy has been outshined by the iPad. The iPad is the perfect toy because it does everything. It's small, and
it's
the first thing
much more than a toy.
And the first thing that my kids, when they come home from school, the first thing that they immediately go to is an iPad, and it's just such entertainment, and you've got games and video and music and just everything is there. So and again, I very much remember when Steve Jobs announced the iPad, and everyone was like, "What? No one's asking for this. We don't want a big iPhone. What is this thing, and why? Like,
why do I want it?
Wait, and why do I want it?" And he fucking sold it. He pulled up the New York Times and was like, "Look, I'm reading a newspaper. I'm reading a magazine here, and I'm swiping." And he sold it. But it was a category of thing that we didn't know that we wanted until it was given to us. Sort of like the iPhone. When the iPhone was announced, people were like, "Yeah, we always wanted an iPod and internet device that we could touch and swipe the screen on. But wow, you really made one, and it changed history, really, because there are so many millions, dare I say billions, of people in the world where their only ever computer experience is on a handheld screen that you can swipe and touch and stuff.
Yep.
And it has brought computing power and, unfortunately, things like social media where you can be shared things from your friends that your friends didn't really think that much about before they shared, and now you're seeing conspiracy theories. But
so
it's enabled so many people.
Here's a point along these lines: is that here we are, you're chugging your brew in your little koozie, España. I moved from beer to 12-year-old Dewar's Scotch IPA.
IPA.
IPA. I got 12-year-old Scotch for Christmas, so I'm drinking some of that as a follow-up to a couple of brewskis. I knew the Scotch was in my future. Today is an event. Today is a point in time which we will never forget
it's an
for
epiphany.
the rest of our lives. Hey, that's an idea. And it's alarming, right? To know that as severe of a day as this is, that it's very likely to get worse by the time we talk again. And of course, COVID still rages, and Grandma's still moving toward hospice. Grandpa now is.
Oh yeah, so I needed to get back to that. You were pretty dire last episode with your wife
Grandma's holding on.
And in-laws.
Grandma's moving on. I'm now.
Wait, one of them is holding on, one of them is moving on?
What's that?
You said Grandpa's holding on and Grandma's moving on?
No.
That sounds
It's bad,
dark.
man. It's bad. Grandma's like looking at hospice, and Grandpa just no symptoms. And here we are 12 days after the onset, and the lingering effect on your lungs has put him in the intensive care unit. And there's just no end to it. My wife still feels like she's sick, but she's not contagious. Tested negative.
Not contagious.
Not contagious, but still has it. She'll have COVID for up to 90 days.
But not contagious according to whom?
Not contagious. According to CDC and the healthcare guidance. According to Fauci.
All right.
Put a name on.
Fine.
I know you.
Tony.
That would convince you.
Tony. I got it with Tony.
Tony, what? Hey,
Tony said she's not giving shit.
What the fuck?
Shit.
And so it's the death watch. And it's a death watch during the time we're on top of it, we got fucking stormed insurrection. We got this fucking animal, fucking Ted Cruz, fucking leading this charge for no other reason than he thinks it sets him up well to become the presidential candidate in 2024. It's the worst of fucking time. Our institutions will hold. Stay at home, my little darling, because now I've got to go. I've got my rifle packed and loaded, and I know just what I know. I'm gonna go down to the Capitol and storm the place there, taking votes, 'cause I don't believe a bit of it, darling, and I know just what I know.
Amen, bro.
Amen. I got to bring my juice harp to the next session. Remind me. I've been doing some playing lately.
Remind me to remind you.
Okay. You're on.
I'll remind you to remind me to remind you.
As they say, I got to piss worse than a fucking wounded moose.
You said that a couple episodes ago, and I still chuckle. Okay, that does it for episode number 92. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/092. Holy shit, what a day that was with the attack on the Capitol, etc., etc. Let's just make our way through the end of this presidency, please. You can support us at patreon.com/happyhour. We would love that. And in the meantime, stay safe. We'll see you next week.